This chapter feels like deja vu. Abraham previously tried the "she's my sister" trick in Egypt. Here, he does it again in Gerar. It highlights that even heroes of faith struggle with recurring fears and flaws. King Abimelech is actually the sympathetic character here. He acts with integrity, and God acknowledges this. It shows that God can speak to and through people outside the chosen covenant line. The core of the chapter is God preventing a disaster. Sarah is the mother of the promise. If she is compromised, the lineage of Israel and eventually Jesus is at risk. God steps in to protect his promise when Abraham fails to protect his wife. Interestingly, this is the first time in Scripture that Abraham is explicitly called a prophet, and his role is defined as an intercessor, someone who prays for others to be healed. All right, grab a coffee, pull up a chair, and let me tell you a story from the life of Abraham. And honestly, this one makes you realize that the father of faith was just as human as the rest of us. Abraham and Sarah are on the move again. They leave the area of Mamre and head south to a place called Gerar. You'd think after walking with God for decades, Abraham would be totally fearless, right? Well, not exactly. They roll into town and Abraham looks at the locals and thinks these people look tough. He is a stranger there and his wife Sarah is extremely beautiful. Sarah is around 90 years old at this point, which makes it even more striking. Abraham gets that sinking feeling in his stomach. He thinks that if they know she is his wife, they will kill him just to get to her. So he uses an old plan he already tried in Egypt and tells everyone she is his sister. Predictably, it backfires. King Abimelech, the ruler of Gerar, sees Sarah and thinks she is single and brings her into the palace. Sarah is taken into the king's household. Abraham is safe, but the promise of God, the future son Isaac, is now in serious danger. King Abimelech is actually a decent man. He has not touched Sarah. That night, God comes to him in a dream and tells him that he is as good as dead because the woman he took is married. Abimelech is terrified and defends himself. He tells God that Abraham said she was his sister and Sarah said he was her brother. He insists that he acted with a clean heart and did not know the truth. God responds that he knows Abimelech acted in innocence and that he is the one who stopped him from sinning. God tells him to return the woman to her husband because Abraham is a prophet who will pray for him so that he may live. If he refuses, death will come on him and his household. Abimelech wakes up early in the morning and calls his servants. He tells them everything, and they are all very afraid. He then calls Abraham and confronts him. The king rebukes the man of God and asks what he did to bring such danger on his kingdom. He asks Abraham what he was thinking. Abraham explains himself. He says he thought there was no fear of God in that place and that they would kill him because of his wife. He adds that Sarah is technically his sister, the daughter of his father, but not his mother, and that they married. He also explains that when God called him to travel from place to place, he asks Sarah to always say he was her brother. Abimelech could have punished Abraham, but instead he chooses peace. He gives Abraham sheep, cattle, servants, and returns Sarah immediately. He tells Abraham that the land is open and that he can live wherever he chooses. He then speaks to Sarah and says that he has given her brother 1,000 pieces of silver to clear her name and fully restore her honor. Finally, Abraham prays for Abimelech. God had closed the wombs of the women in Abimelech's household because of Sarah. But when Abraham prays, God heals Abimelech, his wife, and his servants so they can have children again. This story shows that God is faithful even when people fail. Abraham acted out of fear, lied, and put everything at risk, yet God still protected Sarah and his promise. God's plan was never in danger. Nothing, not fear, not failure, not power, was going to stop the birth of Isaac.